Welcome back to the channel The Coin Empire, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in everyday pocket change and reveal the shocking stories behind coins that most people overlook. And today we are diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern American coin collecting history. The legendary 1987 quarter dollar that some experts and collectors claim could be worth as much as $94 million because of its rare and mysterious errors and minting mistakes. And before you think this sounds impossible for a simple 25-cent coin, stay with me because the details behind this extraordinary piece will completely change the way you look at every quarter in your wallet. The 1987 quarter was struck at the famous Denver Mint, officially known as the United States Mint, and it features the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse as part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, a design that has been a symbol of American currency since 1932. But what makes certain 1987 quarters different from the billions of normal coins produced that year is not the basic design but the rare chain of minting errors that may have occurred during a short window of production, and these potential errors include dramatic double die varieties, off-metal strikes, transitional composition mistakes, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and even the possibility of being struck on experimental or foreign planchets, all of which together could create a coin so rare that collectors would compete fiercely to own it, pushing its theoretical value into the tens of millions. First, let us understand the background. In 1987, the United States Mint produced quarters at multiple facilities including Philadelphia and Denver, and the Denver coins carried the small d mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Most 1987 quarters are common and worth only face value, but rumors within numismatic circles suggest that a tiny batch may have experienced a severe double die obverse error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned second impression from the hub during its creation, causing design elements like the word Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and even the date 1987 to appear doubled. And when the doubling is strong and clearly visible without magnification, it becomes highly desirable. Now imagine a 1987 quarter where the date shows bold separation lines, where the letters of Liberty appear shadowed, and where Washington's profile shows clear doubling around the eye and lips. Such a dramatic double die could already fetch thousands or even tens of thousands at auction, but the story becomes even more explosive when we consider the possibility of a transitional error. In 1987, the standard quarter composition was copper nickel clad over a pure copper core. But if by accident a leftover experimental planchet from a different denomination or a foreign contract struck at the Denver Mint slipped into the press, the result could be a quarter struck on the wrong metal, perhaps a solid nickel blank, or even a manganese brass planchet intended for another country's coinage. Such a wrong planchet strike would immediately stand out because of its unusual weight, color, and sound when dropped on a surface. Collectors use precision scales to verify weight differences, and if a genuine 1987 quarter were discovered weighing significantly more or less than the standard 5.67 grams, it would send shockwaves through the numismatic community. Another possible factor contributing to the mythical $94 million valuation is the off-center strike combined with a full visible date and mint mark. Off-center coins are created when the planchet is not properly seated in the collar at the moment of striking, causing part of the design to be missing while the rest is shifted dramatically to one side. Minor off-center errors are common and worth modest premiums, but a dramatic 60 to 70% off-center strike with a full readable 1987 date and clear D mint mark would be extremely rare, and if combined with other errors like double striking or broad striking outside the retaining collar, the uniqueness multiplies. Broad strike errors occur when the collar that normally holds the coin in shape during striking fails to engage, allowing the metal to expand outward, producing a coin that is wider and thinner than normal. And if a 1987 quarter were both broad struck and struck on the wrong planchet, the sheer improbability of that combination could make it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. We must also consider the possibility of a mule error. A mule occurs when dies intended for two different coins are accidentally paired together. Imagine a 1987 quarter obverse paired with a reverse design not intended for quarters. While no confirmed example is publicly documented, the mere theoretical possibility fuels speculation and collector excitement, and history has shown that mule coins can reach astonishing prices, adding fuel to the belief that a unique 1987 D mule could approach an 8-figure or even higher valuation under the right circumstances. Condition also plays a critical role in determining value. A coin graded mint state 68 or higher by a respected grading service could command an enormous premium, especially if it is the finest known example of a rare error. Grading services evaluate luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal, and if a hypothetical 1987 D error quarter were discovered in pristine uncirculated condition, preserved in a roll for decades and only recently identified, its value could skyrocket because rarity plus perfection equals intense collector demand. The year 1987 itself adds an interesting twist because mint sets were sold directly to collectors and relatively few quarters entered circulation compared to some earlier decades. This lower circulation presence increases the intrigue, making high-grade examples slightly scarcer in everyday change. Another dramatic error possibility involves a rotated die. Normally the reverse of a US coin is aligned so that if you flip it top to bottom the design appears upright. But if a 1987 D quarter were struck with a 90-degree or even 180-degree rotated reverse, collectors would prize it as a significant mint error. The more extreme the rotation, the more desirable it becomes. Now imagine that rotation combined with a double die obverse and a clipped planchet crescent missing from the edge. Clipped planchets happen when the metal strip used to punch blanks overlaps slightly, resulting in a curved missing section, and such clips show a distinctive Blakesley effect weakness opposite the clip. Authenticating such a coin would require expert analysis, but once verified it could represent a spectacular multi-error specimen. We also cannot ignore the possibility of a proof coin mistakenly released into circulation bearing a D mint mark. But with mirror-like surfaces and frosted devices, proof coins are normally struck with specially prepared dies and planchets, and if an experimental proof strike escaped quality control at the Denver Mint, its rarity could be extraordinary. Collectors pay huge premiums for transitional proof errors, especially when they represent a documented mistake from the United States Mint. Then there is the concept of a missing clad layer error, since quarters are made from layers of metal bonded together. Sometimes the outer nickel layer can be partially or completely missing, exposing the reddish copper core. Such errors dramatically change the appearance of the coin and reduce its weight. A 1987 D quarter missing one clad layer would have a distinctive two-tone look, and if preserved in high grade it would command strong interest. But combine that with a double die and off-center strike and you have a coin so unique that collectors might battle in private auctions, pushing the price into unimaginable territory. Part of the reason extreme values like $94 million are discussed is because of the psychology of rarity. If a coin is truly one of a kind and represents a dramatic minting anomaly never seen before, wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums could compete to secure it as a centerpiece item. Especially given the enduring popularity of the Washington Quarter series featuring George Washington, and when deep-pocketed buyers enter the market, traditional price guides become irrelevant because the coin's value is determined by what someone is willing to pay to own something that no one else can. Auction history shows that unique era coins can reach millions under the right publicity and documentation, so the idea of a 1987 D quarter reaching $94 million, while extraordinary, reflects the upper extreme of what rarity plus hype plus competitive bidding can create. Authentication would be critical. Experts would examine die markers, metal composition, through spectrographic analysis, weight tolerance, diameter, edge reading consistency, and microscopic flow lines to confirm it was genuinely struck at the Denver Mint in 1987 and not altered later. Any sign of post-mint damage or fabrication would destroy the value, so the integrity of the error must be unquestionable. Collectors searching for such treasures often inspect bank rolls, estate collections, and forgotten mint sets stored in attics, hoping to find anomalies like extra thickness, unusual coloration, weak strikes, die cracks, cuts where chunks of the die broke away leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin. Next, 1971 D quarter dollar coin. Today get ready because we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious and potentially life-changing coins in American numismatic history. the 1971 D-quarter dollar that some collectors believe could be worth an astonishing $90 million due to a combination of rare mint errors, dramatic production mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances that transform an ordinary 25-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And before you dismiss this as impossible, remember that history has repeatedly proven that the smallest minting anomaly can turn common currency into a collector's dream when rarity, condition, and demand collide at the perfect moment. The 1971 D-quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility operated by the United States Mint, and like all Washington quarters of that era, it features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, a design that has represented American coinage since 1932, while the reverse displays the heraldic eagle that defined the series for decades before the state quarters program ever began. At first glance, a 1971 D-quarter looks completely ordinary, composed of a copper core sandwiched between layers of copper nickel-clad metal, weighing approximately 5.67 grams and measuring about 24.3 millimeters in diameter. But hidden within the massive production numbers of that year lies the possibility that a tiny handful of coins escaped the mint with spectacular and extremely rare errors that could justify an eye-watering valuation in the tens of millions under the right circumstances. One of the most exciting possibilities involves a dramatic double die obverse, which occurs not during the striking of the coin itself but during the creation of the die used to strike it, when the working die receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, causing elements of the design such as the date 1971, the word liberty, and the motto I in God we trust to appear distinctly doubled, and when the doubling is strong enough to be seen clearly with the naked eye, it becomes highly desirable. Now imagine a 1971 D-quarter where the 1 and 7 in the date show clear separation lines, where the letters of liberty have thick shadow-like outlines, and where Washington's profile shows noticeable doubling around the eye, nose, and lips. Such a bold doubled die could instantly elevate the coin into elite error territory. But the story does not end there, because true multimillion-dollar status often requires more than a single error. Another possibility that fuels the legend of the $90 million 1971 D-quarter is the chance of a wrong planchet strike. During the early 1970s, the United States Mint was producing multiple denominations simultaneously, and occasionally planchets intended for other coins could become mixed in with quarter blanks. If a 1971 D-quarter were struck on a nickel planchet, it would weigh only 5 grams instead of 5.67, and if struck on a planchet intended for a foreign contract coin, the weight and metal composition could differ even more dramatically, creating a coin with unusual coloration, sound, and magnetic properties. Such wrong metal errors are rare but documented in numismatic history, and if a unique example from 1971 D were discovered in pristine uncirculated condition, it could ignite intense bidding wars among elite collectors. Even more intriguing is the possibility of a transitional composition error. While quarters had already transitioned to clad composition in 1965, experimental metal testing and leftover blanks sometimes created unusual anomalies. Imagine the discovery of a 1971 D-quarter struck on a silver planchet accidentally left over from earlier production or experimental testing. A genuine silver 1971 D-quarter confirmed by metallurgical analysis would be nothing short of extraordinary, because it would represent a mint mistake of incredible magnitude, and when collectors encounter something that defies standard mint specifications, the price ceiling becomes almost impossible to define. Another dramatic scenario involves a broad strike error where the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin fails to engage, allowing the metal to expand outward during striking and producing a coin that is wider and thinner than normal. Broad-struck coins are already desirable, but combine that with a wrong planchet and doubled die obverse and you have a multi-layered error that multiplies rarity exponentially. Then consider an off-center strike of 60% or more with the full date and D mint mark still visible. Off-center coins occur when the blank is not properly seated within the collar at the moment of impact, resulting in a portion of the design missing, and the more dramatic the misalignment, while retaining key identifying features, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1971 D-quarter with a dramatic off-center strike combined with strong doubling and a wrong metal composition could easily become a one-of-a-kind specimen, Rotated die errors also play a role in the legend. Normally, if you hold a US coin upright and flip it top to bottom, the reverse design appears upright as well. But if the reverse die is misaligned by 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or somewhere in between, collectors classify it as a rotated die error. Extreme rotations are scarce and highly collectible. And if a 1971 decoder displayed a full 180-degree rotation along with other significant anomalies, it would stand out as a spectacular mint failure. We must also consider clipped planchet errors, which occur when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps slightly, leaving a crescent-shaped clip missing from the edge of the coin. Authentic clipped planchets show a characteristic weakness opposite the clip known as the Blakesley effect, and when preserved in high grade, such coins carry substantial premiums. But the dream scenario for a $90 million coin would be a multi-error example, combining a large curved clip, double die features, off-center strike, and perhaps even a retained cud where a portion of the die broke away, leaving a raised irregular blob of metal along the rim. Die cracks and cuds add visual drama, and when dramatic enough, they create coins that look almost sculptural. Collectors are especially fascinated by retained cuds because they demonstrate a progressive die failure that should have been caught during inspection. Another mind-blowing possibility is the double denomination strike. This occurs when a coin previously struck with one denomination remains in the striking chamber and is then struck again with quarter dies, producing overlapping designs from two different coins. Such errors are among the rarest and most dramatic in all of numismatics. And if a 1971 decoder were discovered overstruck on another denomination while retaining identifiable details from both strikes, it would be a museum-level piece. The year 1971 itself adds historical context because it was a period of heavy coin production amid economic changes and rising demand for circulating coinage. Large-scale production increases the probability of mechanical malfunctions or quality control lapses, though still rare, and the Denver Mint facility under the authority of the United States Mint was operating at high capacity, meaning even a tiny fraction of flawed coins could slip through into circulation unnoticed for decades. Condition is another essential factor when discussing astronomical values. A coin graded mint state 67, 68, or even higher by a respected third-party grading service would carry immense prestige, especially if it were the finest known example of a particular error type. Luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal dramatically influence value. And if a unique 1971 D-era quarter were discovered in a long-stored bankroll or estate collection with blazing original mint luster and virtually no contact marks, it could command an almost limitless premium. Wealthy collectors often compete for the finest known examples to secure registry set dominance, and when ego, prestige, and rarity combine, prices can climb beyond conventional logic. There is also the possibility of a mule error pairing an obverse or reverse die not intended for the quarter denomination. While no confirmed public record documents such a pairing for 1971 decorders, the mere theoretical existence of a mule excites collectors because mules represent fundamental production mix-ups at the mint. Authentication of any such coin would require in-depth die analysis, metallurgical testing, and microscopic study of strike characteristics to confirm it originated at the Denver facility and not as a post-mint fabrication. Experts would examine reading count on the edge, measure diameter and thickness precisely, and compare die markers with known production dies from 1971. They would analyze flow lines under magnification to confirm genuine strike pressure patterns, and any irregularities inconsistent with mint production would disqualify the piece. But if all evidence confirmed authenticity, the coin's value could enter the realm of legend. Another error scenario that adds to the intrigue is a missing clad layer, because quarters are composed of bonded metal layers. Occasionally one outer layer can fail either partially or completely, revealing the copper core underneath and reducing the coin's weight. Next, 1988 decoder dollar coin. Today we are uncovering the unbelievable story of the 1988 decoder dollar, a coin that most people would casually spend without a second thought, but that under extraordinary circumstances could be worth an astonishing $88 million because of rare minting errors, shocking production mistakes, and the kind of once-in-a-generation anomalies that send collectors into a frenzy. Now, at first glance, the 1988 decoder appears completely ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the classic eagle reverse design that defined the Washington Quarter Series for decades, and it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major facilities operated by the United States Mint, with the small D Mint mark positioned just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced for circulation. Composed of copper nickel-clad bonded over a pure copper core, weighing approximately 5.67 grams and measuring about 24.3 millimeters in diameter. But within massive production numbers lies the slim yet thrilling possibility that a handful of coins escaped with dramatic and highly valuable errors that could transform a simple 25-cent piece into a multimillion-dollar treasure. One of the most talked about possibilities surrounding the 1988 decoder is a powerful double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs during the die creation process when the hub impresses the design onto the working die more than once in slightly different positions, causing visible doubling on the struck coin. When strong enough, this doubling can clearly affect the date 1988, the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust," and even the facial details of Washington's profile. Collectors carefully examine the serifs of letters, the spacing between digits, and the contours of Washington's eye and mouth to detect authentic double die characteristics. And if a dramatic example were discovered with bold separation lines visible without magnification, it would already be worth a significant premium. But to approach legendary 8-figure territory, the coin would likely need to combine multiple rare errors into one unique specimen. Another powerful possibility is a wrong planchet strike. During 1988, the United States Mint was striking several denominations at the same time. And occasionally planchets intended for other coins or even foreign contracts could become mixed into quarter production. If a 1988 decoder were struck on a nickel planchet, it would weigh less than standard. If struck on a cent planchet, it would appear smaller and copper-colored. And if struck on a foreign coin blank with different metal composition, it could display unusual color, thickness, and even magnetic response. Such wrong metal strikes are rare but documented within numismatics. And if only one 1988D example existed in high-grade condition, its uniqueness could drive its value to unimaginable heights. Even more fascinating is the concept of a transitional composition error. Although quarters had been clad since 1965, there is always the remote possibility that experimental metal testing or leftover materials from special production runs could result in an unusual alloy being used accidentally. Imagine a genuine 1988 decoder struck on a silver planchet or an experimental alloy with metallurgical analysis confirming its deviation from standard specifications. Such a discovery would not only shock collectors but also historians who study mint production processes. And when a coin challenges established mint records, its appeal grows exponentially. Then there are off-center strikes, which occur when the blank is improperly seated within the collar at the moment of striking, causing part of the design to be missing while the remaining design is shifted dramatically to one side. Minor off-center errors are somewhat common and worth moderate premiums, but a 60% or greater off-center strike with a fully readable date and clear D Mint mark is far rarer. Now imagine that coin also displaying bold double die features and perhaps being struck on the wrong planchet. Such a multi-error combination would be so improbable that it could represent a true one-of-a-kind treasure. Broad strike errors also contribute to the legend. These occur when the retaining collar fails to engage during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that is wider and thinner than usual. The edge reading may be distorted or partially missing, and the overall appearance is dramatic. If a 1988 decoder were broad struck while simultaneously exhibiting other major mint errors, it would instantly stand apart from ordinary specimens. Rotated die errors are another exciting category. Normally, if you hold a US coin upright and flip it top to bottom, the reverse appears upright as well. But when the reverse die is misaligned by 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or another unusual angle, collectors classify it as a rotated die error. Extreme rotations are scarce and highly sought after, and the greater the rotation, the more dramatic the appeal. Imagine discovering a 1988 decoder with a full 180-degree rotation along with a clipped planchet crescent missing from the edge. Clipped planchets occur when the metal strip overlaps during blank punching. resulting in a curved section being cut away, and authentic examples display a characteristic weakness opposite the clip known as the Blakesley effect. Confirming authenticity would require expert examination, but once verified, such a coin could attract intense bidding. Die cracks and cuds also play a role in building value. As dies wear out, they can develop cracks that transfer as raised lines onto the coin's surface. In more severe cases, pieces of the die break away, creating cuds, which appear as raised blobs of metal usually along the rim. A dramatic retained cud on a 1988 D-quarter could partially obscure the lettering or rim while adding sculptural visual impact. Combine that with other errors and the coin becomes even more desirable. Another extraordinary possibility is the double denomination strike. This occurs when a coin already struck with one denomination remains in the striking chamber and receives a second strike from quarter dies, resulting in overlapping designs. Such errors are among the rarest in modern coinage, and if a 1988 D-quarter were discovered with clear remnants of another denomination beneath Washington's portrait or the eagle reverse, it would be considered a museum-quality piece. Condition further amplifies potential value. Coins graded mint state 67, 68, or even higher by respected grading services command enormous premiums, especially if they are the finest known examples of a particular error type: blazing mint luster, sharp strike detail, and minimal contact marks significantly influence price. If a unique multi-era 1988 D-quarter were discovered in an original bankroll preserved for decades, its pristine state could elevate it into elite collector territory. Registry set competition among wealthy numismatists often drives prices to extraordinary levels because collectors seek the absolute best known specimens to secure top rankings. Psychology also plays a major role in record-breaking sales. Once a coin is recognized as unique and receives widespread publicity, its narrative becomes part of its value. The Washington Quarter Series, featuring George Washington, is one of the most widely collected in American history, and any groundbreaking discovery within this series draws immediate attention from investors, historians, and museums alike. Auction houses thrive on the drama of rarity. And if a coin were marketed as the only known 1988 D-quarter combining multiple major mint errors confirmed by experts and linked directly to production records from the United States Mint, competitive bidding could escalate rapidly. While $88 million represents an extreme upper limit, it symbolizes what could theoretically happen if rarity, condition, demand, and media attention converged perfectly. Authentication would involve meticulous analysis. Experts would measure weight to fractions of a gram, test metal composition with spectrographic equipment, examine die markers under high magnification, verify edge reading count, and compare strike characteristics with known Denver Mint production patterns from 1988. Any evidence of post-mint alteration would eliminate value, so integrity and documentation are critical. Collectors searching for such treasures inspect pocket change, estate collections, forgotten mint sets, and sealed rolls from banks, looking for unusual coloration, distorted lettering, irregular thickness, or misaligned designs. Sometimes valuable coins remain unnoticed for decades simply because no one examined them closely enough. The excitement surrounding the rumored $88 million 1988 D-quarter reminds us that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight, and that knowledge is the most powerful tool a collector can possess. So the next time you receive a 1988 D-quarter, take a moment to study it carefully. Look at the date for doubling, check the mint mark placement, examine the rim for clips or cuds, rotate it to see if the reverse aligns properly, weigh it if possible, and imagine the incredible journey it took from the Denver facility of the United States Mint into circulation. Last 1998 D-quarter dollar coin. Today we are diving into the fascinating and almost unbelievable legend of the 1998 D-quarter dollar, a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, but that under rare and astonishing circumstances could be worth as much as $85 million because of extraordinary mint errors, dramatic production mistakes, and once-in-a-lifetime combinations of anomalies that transform a simple 25-cent piece into a historic prize. Now on the surface, the 1998 D-quarter looks completely normal. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, and it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities operated by the United States Mint, with the small D mint mark positioned to the right of Washington's ponytail. The reverse in 1998 still carried the classic heraldic eagle design because this was the final year before the launch of the State Quarters program in 1999, making 1998 a transitional moment in modern American coinage history. Billions of quarters were struck in the late 1990s to meet circulation demand, each composed of copper nickel clad bonded to a pure copper core, weighing approximately 5.67 grams and measuring about 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Yet within those massive production numbers lies the slim but thrilling possibility that a handful of coins escaped the mint with spectacular errors that could elevate their value into unimaginable territory, one of the most exciting and realistic error types that could fuel the legend of an $85 million 1998 D quarter is a powerful double die obverse. This type of error occurs during the die manufacturing process when the hub impresses the design into the working die more than once in slightly misaligned positions, causing visible doubling on the struck coins. Collectors examine the date 1998 carefully, looking for separation lines on the 1, 9, and 8 digits. They inspect the word Liberty for thickened letters or shadow-like outlines, and they study the motto "In God We Trust" for strong doubling. If a 1998 D quarter displayed dramatic and obvious doubling visible without magnification, it would already command significant premiums, but to approach an astronomical figure like $85 million, the coin would likely need to combine multiple rare errors into a unique specimen never before documented. Another powerful possibility is a wrong planchet strike. During 1998, the United States Mint was striking pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and half dollars simultaneously, and occasionally planchets intended for other denominations or even foreign contract coins could become mixed into quarter production lines. If a 1998 D quarter were struck on a nickel planchet, it would weigh around 5 grams instead of 5.67. If struck on a cent planchet, it would appear smaller and copper-colored. And if struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, it could display a completely different alloy composition, unusual coloration, or even magnetic properties. Such wrong metal strikes are rare but well documented in modern coinage, and if only a single high-grade 1998 D example were confirmed by metallurgical analysis, it could become the centerpiece of an elite collection. Even more intriguing is the possibility of a transitional or experimental composition error, because 1998 marked the end of the pre-State Quarters era. There may have been test strikes, die trials, or experimental metal runs taking place behind the scenes. Imagine the discovery of a genuine 1998 D quarter struck on a silver planchet or an experimental alloy never intended for circulation. If laboratory testing verified the metal composition differed from standard clad specifications, the coin would instantly become one of the most important modern mint errors ever discovered. Off-center strikes also add to the potential legend. These occur when the blank is improperly positioned within the collar at the moment of striking, resulting in a portion of the design missing and the remaining design shifted dramatically to one side. Minor off-center errors are moderately common and worth premiums, but a dramatic 60% or greater off-center strike that still shows the full date and clear D mint mark is much rarer. Now imagine that coin also displaying bold double die characteristics and being struck on the wrong planchet. The combined rarity of those features would make it virtually unique. Broad strike errors provide another layer of excitement. When the retaining collar fails to engage during striking, the metal expands outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that is wider and thinner with distorted or missing edge reading. A 1998 D quarter broad struck while also exhibiting other major mint errors would stand out immediately even to non-collectors. Rotated die errors are equally fascinating. Normally, if you hold a US coin upright and flip it top to bottom, the reverse appears upright as well, but when the reverse die is misaligned by 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or another unusual angle, collectors classify it as a rotated die error. Extreme rotations are scarce and highly desirable, and the more dramatic the rotation, the stronger the collector interest. Imagine discovering a 1998 D quarter with a full 180-degree rotated reverse combined with a large curved clipped planchet. Clipped planchets occur when the metal strip overlaps during blank punching, leaving a crescent-shaped portion missing from the edge. Authentic clips show a distinctive weakness opposite the clip known as the Blakesley effect, and confirmation by experts would significantly enhance credibility and value. Die cracks and cuts also contribute to rarity and visual drama. As dies wear and deteriorate, they can develop cracks that transfer to coins as raised lines. In severe cases, pieces of the die break away entirely, creating cuts that appear as raised irregular blobs along the rim. A large retained cut on a 1998 D quarter partially covering the lettering could create a dramatic and highly collectible piece. Another extraordinary scenario involves a double denomination strike. This occurs when a coin previously struck as one denomination remains inside the striking chamber and is then struck again with quarter dies, resulting in overlapping designs from two different coins. Such errors are among the rarest in modern coinage. And if a 1998 D quarter were discovered overstruck on another denomination with identifiable details from both strikes, it would be considered museum level. Condition further multiplies potential value. Coins graded mint state 67, 68, or even higher by respected grading services are highly sought after, especially when they are the finest known examples of a specific era variety. Blazing mint luster, sharp strike detail, and minimal contact marks significantly increase desirability. If a unique multi-era 1998 D quarter were discovered in an original sealed bank roll preserved for decades, its pristine condition could elevate it into elite registry competition territory where wealthy collectors bid aggressively for the top-ranked example. Psychology plays an enormous role in high-end numismatics. Once a coin is recognized as unique and receives widespread publicity, its story becomes intertwined with its value. The Washington Quarter Series featuring George Washington is one of the most collected coin series in American history, and the fact that 1998 was the final year before the launch of the State Quarters program adds a layer of historical significance. Auction houses thrive on narrative and rarity, and if a coin were marketed as the only known 1998 D quarter combining multiple major mint errors verified by independent experts and linked to production anomalies at the United States Mint, competitive bidding among collectors, investors, and even institutions could escalate rapidly. While $85 million represents an extreme and theoretical valuation, it symbolizes the upper boundary of what could happen when rarity, perfection, media attention, and deep-pocketed demand converge. Authentication would require meticulous examination, including precise weight measurement, spectrographic metal analysis, die marker comparison, microscopic study of flow lines, and verification of edge reading count. Experts would confirm that the coin was genuinely struck at the Denver Mint in 1998 and not altered after leaving the mint. Integrity and documentation would be essential. Because any evidence of tampering would destroy value, collectors searching for such treasures carefully inspect pocket change, estate collections, forgotten mint sets, and bank rolls, looking for unusual coloration, distorted lettering, misaligned designs, or weight discrepancies. Sometimes extraordinary coins remain hidden for decades simply because no one looked closely enough. The excitement surrounding the rumored $85 million 1998 D quarter reminds us that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight, and that knowledge and attention to detail are the most powerful tools a collector can possess. So the next time you receive a 1998 D quarter, take a moment to examine it carefully. Check the date for doubling, inspect the mint mark, rotate it to verify alignment, look for clips or cuts along the rim, and if possible weigh it to confirm it matches standard specifications. Because within the complex mechanical operations of the United States Mint, even a tiny malfunction can create a rarity beyond imagination.